Voice log transcript, classification pending. Operator ID, redacted. Station, Cheyenne Mountain radar surveillance. Date, redacted. Time, 0347:23 hours. Voice log, shift 13 alpha. Senior Airman. Christ, do I state my name on these things? Protocol says operator ID sufficient for internal logs. Whatever. Graveyard watch, another 8 hours of watching empty screens and drinking coffee that tastes like it was filtered through a gym sock. Metallic taste won't leave my mouth, always happens down here. Recycled air, they say. 47 hours of continuous operation without surface rotation. The fluorescents keep flickering over the trajectory display boards, casting shadows that make the Mercator projection look like it's crawling. 3:47 in the morning. Seattle's still asleep. Katie probably has the window cracked despite the rain. She always runs hot. Emma's got that stuffed elephant wedged between the headboard and wall. Pink thing with one eye missing. I should call when shift ends, catch them before school drop-off. Hold on. Multiple contacts, bearing. Jesus, that can't be right. Radar 1 showing 9 inbound objects. Trajectory consistent with ICBM profile. Altitude descending through 200,000 feet. Velocity, Mach 23.7 and climbing. Standard operating procedure card 7 alpha. Confirm target acquisition through minimum 2 independent radar sources before initiating alert protocol. Right. Backup systems online, cross-referencing with. Backup confirms. 9 contacts, same trajectory profile. Bearing 279 degrees, impact projection. Seattle metropolitan area. Estimated time to target, 17 minutes, 43 seconds. This is it. This is the call we trained for. Emergency Alert Protocol, Section 4.1. Direct line to Strategic Command, Automated Missile Defense Activation, Civilian Warning Broadcast. Muscle memory from 1,000 drills. Strategic Command, this is Cheyenne Mountain Surveillance, Priority Alpha Emergency Traffic. What the hell? Line's dead. That's not possible. These are hardened military circuits. Redundant copper and fiber, EMP shielded. Try the backup. Both primary circuits down. During a detected strike? That's not equipment failure, that's no. Focus. Follow protocol. There's got to be emergency procedures for communication failure. Where's that laminated card? The one with backup procedures, here. In event of primary communication failure, utilize secondary alert channels. That's the civilian emergency broadcast system. But that requires double authentication from command authority. 16 minutes, 12 seconds to impact. Command authority that I can't reach because the goddamn phones are dead. Katie and Emma are 14 miles from downtown Seattle. Blast radius for a standard warhead depends on yield, but downtown detonation puts them in the thermal radiation zone. Third-degree burns, probably survivable if they're indoors. But they won't know to get indoors unless someone warns them. There's a yellow sticky note on my console, been there for weeks. Do not broadcast trajectory data without double authentication, Standing Order 47B. But what if double authentication is impossible due to system failure? What if the standing order becomes a death sentence? Wait, didn't they mention something during last month's briefing? Something about Cheyenne Mountain having a Cold War-era backup hotline? Direct line to Pentagon Crisis Management? I remember the briefing officer, tall guy with a mustache, saying it was still technically active for extreme scenarios. System directory, emergency protocols, legacy communication systems there. Cheyenne Pentagon Crisis Hotline status, maintenance mode, authorization level, commanding officer only. 15 minutes, 8 seconds. Maintenance mode. Of course it's in maintenance mode. When's the last time anything in this place worked exactly when you needed it? Screw the authorization level. This is the extreme scenario they built these systems for. The number you have dialed is temporarily out of service for scheduled maintenance. Please try your call again between 0800 and 1700 hours, Monday through Friday. Scheduled maintenance during the graveyard shift. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Think. There has to be something else. Some other way to verify before I trigger civilian panic protocols. What if I'm wrong? What if it's equipment malfunction, solar interference, some kind of atmospheric anomaly that's fooling both primary and backup radar? 14 minutes, 31 seconds. But what if I'm right? Personal call to Seattle. Policy violation, but Katie's number. If the phones work for outgoing civilian calls, Maybe the military circuits are being jammed or... Hello? Katie. Thank God. Listen to me carefully. Take Emma and get to the basement. Now. What? Honey, it's not even 4 in the morning. What's? I can't explain. Military emergency. Get underground, away from windows. Take water, blankets. Stay there until you hear from me or until official emergency broadcasts say it's safe. You're scaring me. What kind of emergency? 13 minutes, 57 seconds. The kind where I can't tell you over an unsecured line. Trust me. Please. Just basement now with Emma. I love you both. Call terminated. Whether she hung up or the line was cut, I don't know. But she heard me. She'll do it. Katie's smart. She'll figure out it's serious. Personal voice recorder. If something happens to the official logs, if they try to bury this, at least there'll be some record. Some proof that the warnings came through, that the system detected the threat. Finally, automated proximity alarms. But why aren't the main alert sirens active? These alarms trigger at 12 minutes to impact for confirmed threats, but the facility sirens should be screaming by now. The civilian warning systems should be broadcasting. Someone's coming. Shift supervisor, probably. Maybe he can authorize emergency broadcast override. Maybe. Airman, what's your status on those radar contacts? That's not my shift supervisor. That's Colonel. Shit, what's his name? The one from strategic planning. The one who's supposed to be at Peterson Air Force Base, not down here in the hole at 4 in the morning. 11 minutes, 43 seconds to impact. And the cavalry arrives just when the phones mysteriously stop working. Sir, I've detected multiple inbound objects consistent with ICBM profile. Unable to establish communication with strategic command for verification and alert authorization. I see. And you're certain these aren't false returns? Solar activity has been elevated this week. False returns that perfectly match ballistic missile trajectories, that maintain consistent velocity profiles across multiple radar systems? Sir, both primary and backup systems confirm. 9 objects, descending through 120,000 feet, bearing 279 degrees, impact projection Seattle metropolitan area in 10 minutes, 58 seconds. Airman, I need you to check something for me. Look at your console, specifically the system status indicators. Tell me what you see for the primary radar calibration timestamp. What does calibration have to do with? Sir, primary radar last calibration shows 0300 hours today, 3 hours ago. And the backup system? Also 0300 hours, sir. That's very interesting. Both systems calibrated simultaneously during the same time frame when you began detecting these alleged missile contacts. Don't you find that timing suspicious? 9 minutes, 41 seconds. Suspicious. He's calling detected nuclear missiles suspicious. Sir, regardless of calibration timing, I have confirmed contacts on independent systems showing consistent. Airman, I'm going to need you to step back from the console. The proximity alarms are getting more urgent, but he wants me to step back from the console. While 9 nuclear warheads are 8 minutes and 53 seconds from turning Seattle into radioactive glass. Sir, with respect, protocol requires continuous monitoring until. Protocol requires following direct orders from superior officers. Step away from the console. That's not a request. 8 minutes, 37 seconds. And I just followed orders while my wife and daughter sit in the blast radius, probably making breakfast, probably wondering why Daddy called so early with crazy warnings about basements and water bottles. Now, Airman, I want you to watch very carefully what happens when we reset the calibration parameters. Wait, if both systems were recalibrated at 0300 hours, and I came on shift at 0330, that means someone knew. Someone anticipated this detection window and preemptively adjusted the systems, but recalibrated to show false positives or recalibrated to reveal an actual threat that was previously masked. 7 minutes, 51 seconds. And counting down while a colonel who shouldn't be here tells me to ignore what every instrument is screaming about. Voice log transcript, classification pending, operator ID, redacted, station, Cheyenne Mountain radar surveillance, date, redacted, time, 0354:17 hours, voice log continuation, 7 minutes, 23 seconds to projected impact. Colonel Hendricks, I think his name is. Colonel Hendricks is standing behind me, watching the screen like he's critiquing a training simulation instead of witnessing the end of Seattle. Airman, observe the recalibration process. See how the contact signatures change when we adjust the atmospheric compensation parameters. The contacts aren't changing. 9 objects, still descending, still locked on the same trajectory. But now there's additional data overlaying the screen, atmospheric interference models, solar radiation projections, something called exercise phantom thunder parameters. Exercise parameters. During an actual nuclear strike. Sir, I'm not familiar with exercise phantom thunder. Classified training scenario. Tests operator response to false positive radar returns during elevated solar activity. Very sophisticated simulation. Even experienced radar operators have difficulty distinguishing the exercise signatures from actual threats. 6 minutes, 47 seconds. Sir, respectfully, I've never seen exercise protocols that prevent communication with strategic command. Both hardened military circuits are down. Backup civilian systems are showing maintenance status. That's not part of any training I've received. Communication systems experience scheduled maintenance during overnight hours. Standard procedure to prevent interference with East Coast operational readiness windows. Scheduled maintenance. At the exact moment I detect inbound ICBMs. During the graveyard shift when skeleton crews can't verify or challenge the maintenance timing. The colonel's removing something from the backup communications panel. Physical hardware, cables, circuit boards. Equipment that should never be disconnected during operational status. Sir, are you? That's the emergency broadcast interface. Removing those components will disable civilian warning capabilities. Malfunctioning equipment, airmen. Safety protocol requires immediate disconnection during system anomalies. We can't risk sending false alarms to civilian populations. 5 minutes, 58 seconds. False alarms. While he's physically sabotaging the systems designed to save lives. Sir, I need to log this equipment removal for maintenance records. Negative. This is classified maintenance under National Security Directive 77 Alpha. No documentation required for emergency safety disconnections. National Security Directive 77 Alpha. I've never heard of it, and I've memorized every relevant directive in the operational manual. But he's saying it with the confidence of someone who expects immediate compliance. Wait. The radar contacts just multiplied. Now showing 14 objects. Then 12. Then 16. The signature patterns are fluctuating in ways that don't match any ballistic trajectory I've ever seen. Sir, the contact count is becoming inconsistent. Multiple objects appearing and disappearing from the scope. Exactly what we'd expect from false returns generated by solar interference interacting with improperly calibrated systems. The simulation parameters are designed to create exactly this type of confusion. For minutes, 43 seconds. But the original 9 contacts, the ones I detected before he arrived, those are still maintaining consistent trajectories. It's only the new contacts that are behaving erratically. I'm trying the direct line to Seattle Emergency Management. If this is really an exercise, they'll confirm. If it's real, maybe I can get through where military channels are failing. Busy signal. Seattle Emergency Management, with a busy signal at 4 in the morning. When's the last time you got a busy signal instead of voicemail or an automated system? King County Emergency Services. Busy signal. Washington State Emergency Management. Busy signal. Sir, all civilian emergency services in the Seattle area are showing busy signals. That's not consistent with normal overnight staffing or system maintenance. Atmospheric interference affects civilian telephone systems as well, airmen. High-frequency solar radiation can disrupt terrestrial communication networks. 3 minutes, 57 seconds. Solar radiation causing busy signals on landline telephone systems. While he's physically disconnecting emergency broadcast equipment. While classified maintenance is occurring on every communication channel simultaneously. The colonel just unsnapped his sidearm holster. Standard procedure during security alerts, but there's no security alert status posted. No intruder warnings, no facility lockdown announcements. Sir, should I initiate security protocols? No security protocols necessary, airmen. Continue monitoring the exercise parameters. Exercise parameters that now show 3 minutes, 26 seconds to impact on Seattle. I'm trying to access the communication system diagnostic logs. If this equipment failure is legitimate, there should be automatic error reports, maintenance schedules, authorization codes. Airmen, step away from the communications panel. Sir, I'm just checking the diagnostic logs too. That's a direct order. Step away from all communication interfaces. He's not just preventing me from sending warnings. He's preventing me from determining if the communication failures are real or artificial, whether the equipment was sabotaged or legitimately malfunctioning. 2 minutes, 48 seconds. The facility's environmental systems just switched to emergency mode. Sealed circulation, positive pressure, filtered air. Standard procedure for incoming chemical or radiation threats. Sir, why are environmental systems switching to emergency mode during a training exercise? Precautionary measure. Exercise scenarios sometimes trigger automated responses in ancillary systems. Nothing to be concerned about. Nothing to be concerned about while the facility prepares for radioactive fallout. Facility lockdown. All section doors are sealing. Standard procedure for confirmed nuclear threats. Sir, facility lockdown protocols are engaging. I need to understand if we're under actual threat or if something just exploded in the communication equipment bay. Real sparks, real smoke, real damage. Not the kind of malfunction that happens during routine maintenance. 2 minutes, 14 seconds. Electrical fire in the communications bay, sir. Should I activate suppression systems? Negative. Fire is contained to non-essential equipment. Continue monitoring exercise parameters. Non-essential equipment. The emergency broadcast system is non-essential, while Seattle sits under nuclear threat. The proximity alarms just stopped. Not because the threat is gone. The radar contacts are still showing descent profile. The alarms stopped because someone deactivated them. Sir, why did the proximity alarms deactivate? Contacts are still showing 90 seconds to impact. Exercise conclusion, Airman. Phantom Thunder parameters have reached their scripted endpoint. The radar contacts, they're still there. Still descending. Still locked on Seattle trajectory. But now the display is showing exercise mode overlays. Simulation data watermarks across the screen. 1 minute, 37 seconds. Exercise overlays on real radar returns. Or real overlays on exercise simulations. I can't tell anymore which data is authentic and which is fabricated. One more call to Katie. One more attempt to. Personal phone lines are completely dead now. Not maintenance, not busy signals. Dead. 53 seconds. Sir, I need to understand what's happening. If this is really an exercise, why are communication systems being physically destroyed? Why is the facility in lockdown? Why? Airman, you are experiencing acute stress reaction from prolonged exposure to realistic training scenarios. This is normal. You will be debriefed and provided appropriate counseling after the exercise conclusion. Acute stress reaction. He's preparing to classify my observations as psychological breakdown rather than accurate threat assessment. 28 seconds. More personnel entering the control room. Security team, medical personnel. Not to respond to the incoming nuclear strike, to manage the radar operator who detected it. 15 seconds. Sir, if Seattle is about to be destroyed, and I did nothing to warn them because you convinced me it was an exercise. Seattle is not about to be destroyed, Airman. You are experiencing a realistic training scenario designed to test operator judgment under extreme pressure. 7 seconds. The radar shows impact. 3 seconds past projected impact time. Seattle should be gone. The seismic sensors should be screaming. Emergency broadcasts should be flooding every frequency. Exercise concluded, Airman. As you can see, Seattle remains intact. The training scenario has ended successfully, but the radar contacts are still there, still showing as active, still displaying trajectory data. Not exercise artifacts that disappear when the simulation ends, persistent contacts that continue past their programmed impact time. The kernel is manually resetting all displays, clearing contact data, overriding logs, erasing the evidence of whatever we just detected. Sir, the radar data should be preserved for after-action analysis. Standard procedure for training exercises. This exercise utilized classified simulation parameters. All data requires immediate classification and secure disposal. You will sign a non-disclosure agreement regarding tonight's training. Non-disclosure agreement. For a training exercise. While he deletes radar data from systems designed to be tamper-proof. They're shutting down the radar arrays. All of them. During operational hours, during active surveillance requirements. Shutting down America's early warning system while erasing the logs of what it detected. Sign here, Airman. Standard post-exercise documentation. The document he's handing me isn't standard training documentation. It's a national security oath with penalties including court-martial and federal imprisonment for discussing tonight's events. For a training exercise, I'm signing it because I'm a senior airman and he's a colonel. Because disobeying direct orders from superior officers ends careers and lives. Because maybe I really did just experience acute stress reaction during a very sophisticated training scenario. But I'm keeping this voice log hidden. Because if Seattle disappears tomorrow, if radiation sickness starts appearing, if cover-up operations begin, someone needs to remember that the warning came through. Someone needs to remember that we saw them coming. Log entry terminated, classification, top secret/compartmented. Final timestamp, 0403:44 hours. Voice log transcript, classification, redacted. Operator ID, redacted. Station, Cheyenne Mountain Radar Surveillance. Date, redacted. Time, 0403:47 hours. This is a continuation of my previous log. 3 minutes, 17 seconds have passed since projected impact time for Seattle. The city should be gone. The seismic networks should be registering a nuclear detonation. Every radiation monitoring station on the West Coast should be screaming. Instead, Colonel Hendricks is presenting non-disclosure agreements. For a training exercise, Airmen, I need you to understand the sensitivity of tonight's operation. Exercise Phantom Thunder utilizes classified simulation technology that must remain compartmentalized. But the facility is still in lockdown. Environmental systems are still running emergency protocols. The radar arrays are still powered down, all of them, leaving the entire Pacific Northwest blind to actual incoming threats. Sir, with respect, I need clarification on our current defensive posture. If the exercise has concluded, why haven't we restored operational radar coverage? System recalibration following intensive simulation parameters. Standard procedure to prevent residual false returns from affecting subsequent operations. Standard procedure that I've never seen in 3 years of radar operations. Standard procedure that leaves us defensively blind for. He's checking his watch. Approximately 47 minutes for full recalibration. The backup communication board is lighting up. Incoming priority traffic from Stratcom, NORAD Colorado Springs, Peterson AFB. Multiple urgent communications that the colonel isn't acknowledging. He's deactivating the incoming communication systems. Not just outgoing warnings to civilian populations, incoming priority traffic from military command structure. Sir, we have multiple priority flash messages incoming from. Communication embargo during post-exercise security debriefing. Standard OPSEC protocol when classified simulation technology is involved. The security team he summoned earlier. But they're not standard Air Force security personnel. Different uniforms, different badges, equipment I don't recognize. The kind of specialized teams that handle incidents that officially never happened. Gentlemen, the operator experienced significant stress response during the simulation. Recommend immediate psychological evaluation and administrative leave pending full debriefing. Psychological evaluation. Administrative leave. The standard procedure for silencing personnel who've witnessed something they shouldn't have. They're using handheld equipment to scan the control room. Not radiation detectors, signal detection devices. Looking for recording equipment, unauthorized communication devices, evidence of whatever really happened here. I'm trying to access the automatic backup logs. Every radar facility maintains multiple independent recording systems that can't be manually overridden. If tonight was really an exercise, those logs will show simulation data. If it was real, access denied, maintenance mode active. All backup logging systems show maintenance mode. Activated at 0347 hours. 7 minutes before I detected the inbound contacts. The backup logs were disabled before the threats appeared. Sir, the backup logging systems were placed in maintenance mode before the exercise began. That's not consistent with standard training protocols. Step away from all computer interfaces, airmen. That's a direct order. The specialized security team is positioning themselves between me and all communication equipment. Not protecting the equipment from threats, protecting it from me. They're removing physical storage devices from the computer systems. Hard drives, backup tapes, portable memory units. Every component that might contain evidence of tonight's radar contacts. The entire radar control system is being shut down. Not just individual components, the master power system. In the middle of operational hours, during active surveillance requirements. Section doors throughout the facility are engaging maximum security locks. Not the standard lockdown we implemented earlier, complete isolation protocols. The kind used during incidents involving weapons of mass destruction. Sir, why are we implementing WMD isolation protocols if tonight was a training exercise? Airmen, you are exhibiting signs of acute paranoid ideation. These are standard security measures during post-exercise equipment maintenance. Paranoid ideation. He's establishing a medical justification for my removal and silence. The medical personnel aren't Air Force medics. Different uniforms, specialized psychiatric evaluation equipment. They're preparing to administer something, sedatives, psychiatric medication, memory-affecting drugs. If anyone finds this recording, understand what happened here. At 0347 hours, NORAD radar detected multiple inbound ballistic missiles targeting Seattle and surrounding areas. I followed proper verification protocols. I confirmed the contacts on multiple independent systems. Colonel Hendricks arrived and began systematic sabotage of all communication systems. He physically removed emergency broadcast equipment. He disabled contact with Strategic Command. He prevented all warnings to civilian populations. Airmen, you will submit to medical evaluation immediately. The missiles were real. The detection was accurate. Seattle was targeted and there, the injection is. I can feel my thoughts becoming unclear. The contacts continued past projected impact time. That means they weren't ballistic missiles. Something else. Something that required different response protocols. Something that couldn't be publicly acknowledged. Unauthorized recording device located. Secure for classification review. Seattle still exists, but something happened, something that required. Communication blackout. Evidence destruction. Personnel silencing. Memory modification procedures authorized. Class 7 security breach. Permanent administrative reassignment. They weren't missiles, they were document fragment recovered from secured storage. Classification. Top secret / special access required. Date. Redacted plus 72 hours. Incident summary. Senior airman, redacted, experienced acute psychological breakdown during classified training exercise. Exhibited paranoid delusions including false detection of incoming ballistic threats and conspiracy theories regarding communication system maintenance. Medical disposition. Subject administered appropriate psychiatric medication and transferred to specialized medical facility for extended evaluation. Prognosis for return to active duty, negative. Administrative action. All personnel records updated to reflect medical discharge due to psychological unsuitability for classified operations. Security clearance permanently revoked. All operational logs from subject's final duty period classified and secured. Equipment status. All radar and communication systems returned to full operational status following completion of scheduled maintenance procedures. No anomalous contacts detected during or subsequent to training exercise. Special notation. Seattle metropolitan area reported minor seismic activity and brief power grid fluctuations during timeframe corresponding to training exercise. Geological survey attributes events to normal tectonic activity. Power company attributes grid fluctuations to solar storm interference. No connection established between training exercise and civilian infrastructure anomalies. Classification review. This incident summary requires annual review for potential declassification. Current status. Permanent classification recommended. Katie, if something happens to me, if they say I had a breakdown, remember this. I saw them coming. 9 objects, then 14, then more. They weren't missiles. They were something else. Something that made them shut down everything, erase everything, silence everyone. Check the power company reports for that night. Check the seismic data. Check the radiation monitoring stations. The data will be there if you know how to look. I'm sorry I couldn't warn you. I tried. They're transferring me somewhere. I don't think I'm coming back. Remember that I saw them coming. Voice log transcript classification. Redacted. Operator ID. Redacted. Station. Cheyenne Mountain radar surveillance. Date. Redacted. Time. 0419:03 hours. This is my final entry. They administered something. Lorazepam, maybe versed. My thoughts are floating, but I need to complete the record. 28 minutes past projected Seattle impact. The seismic monitoring stations should have registered a nuclear event. Radiation detection networks across the Pacific Northwest should be transmitting emergency data to NORAD, FEMA, the National Response Center. Instead, all incoming data streams show normal background levels. No seismic events above magnitude 3.2. No radiation spikes. No electromagnetic pulse signatures. But Seattle's power grid experienced coordinated rolling blackouts lasting exactly 7 minutes and 43 seconds. The exact time frame corresponding to whatever those contacts actually were. Medical consultation in background. Psychological break manifesting as detailed false memories. Classic paranoid schizophrenic episode triggered by high-stress environment. False memories. They're documenting that my radar contacts were hallucinations. But the automatic systems backup logs I accessed before Colonel Hendricks arrived, they recorded 14 distinct objects. Not 9, as I originally detected. 14. The contacts multiplied during tracking. Ballistic missiles don't multiply. They follow predictable trajectories from launch to impact. These objects fragmented, divided, changed direction. They're transferring me to the medical wing. Permanent transfer. The kind of medical wing where personnel with classified psychological episodes receive extended evaluation. The specialized security team was an Air Force. Their equipment wasn't standard military issue. Badge numbers I glimpsed matched a different organization. The kind that handles incidents involving unidentified aerial phenomena. Katie, my wife, if this recording survives, the power outages in Seattle weren't random infrastructure failures. Check the electromagnetic interference reports from Boeing Field, Seattle-Tacoma Airport, McCord Air Force Base. All commercial and military radar systems experienced simultaneous maintenance issues between 0404 and 0412 hours. 8 minutes of complete radar blindness across the entire Puget Sound region, during a time when 14 unidentified objects were tracked inbound toward major population centers. Medical personnel voice. Subject continues exhibiting detailed false memories consistent with fantasy-prone personality disorder. Recommend immediate memory reconstruction therapy. Memory reconstruction therapy. Chemical suppression of specific memories. They're not treating a psychological condition, they're erasing evidence. The backup logs I accessed showed the contacts didn't impact Seattle. They stopped at 12,000 feet altitude, directly above the metropolitan area. Stationary for 3 minutes, 17 seconds. Then departed at impossible velocities. No human technology can stop mid-flight and hover stationary. No ballistic missile can change trajectory after terminal phase. Whatever I tracked wasn't conventional military hardware. The power grid failures in Seattle weren't caused by infrastructure overload. They were electromagnetic interference patterns. The same signatures we detect when certain classified aerial phenomena operate in proximity to electrical systems. The real cover-up isn't hiding a nuclear false alarm. It's hiding contact with something that required immediate compartmentalization. Something that made them shut down an entire radar facility, erase all records, silence all witnesses. I'm being transferred to Ward 7, the psychiatric ward for personnel who've experienced anomalous encounters. The ward that officially doesn't exist in any Air Force medical facility documentation. Medical personnel, final stage sedation authorized. Memory modification procedures scheduled for 0600 hours. Katie, remember what I'm telling you. The missiles weren't missiles. The exercise wasn't an exercise. The breakdown wasn't a breakdown. 9 contacts became 14. 14 objects that stopped, hovered, and departed. Objects that caused coordinated electromagnetic interference across an entire metropolitan area. The backup logs still exist, somewhere in the system architecture. Timestamped proof that can't be manually deleted, buried in the quantum-encrypted redundancy protocols. They're preparing memory modification. Chemical suppression combined with psychological reconstruction. When I wake up, if I wake up, I won't remember any of this. But somewhere in the classified filing systems, in the backup logs they couldn't access and destroy, in the civilian power company reports and seismic monitoring data, the evidence exists. The truth about what happened over Seattle that night. The truth about why an entire radar facility was shut down and its operator silenced. The truth about what's really out there, watching us, and what our government does when they make contact. This is my last conscious moment as someone who knows what really happened. Remember 9 contacts became 14. Seattle went dark for 7 minutes 43 seconds, and they're erasing everyone who witnessed it. Tell them we're not alone, and our own people are covering it up. Recording terminated, subject unconscious. Medical discharge summary. Classification, secret/medical. Date, redacted, plus 96 hours. Subject, redacted. Final diagnosis, acute paranoid psychosis with detailed false memory construction. Subject exhibited persistent delusions regarding detection of non-existent aerial contacts during routine training exercise. Treatment administered, complete memory reconstruction therapy targeting specific traumatic false memories. Advanced neurochemical treatment protocol successfully eliminated delusional thought patterns while preserving core personality and functional memory systems. Disposition, medical discharge with full disability benefits. Subject successfully reintegrated into civilian life with no recollection of psychological episode. Family reports complete personality restoration. Post-treatment interview excerpt. I remember being stationed at Cheyenne Mountain, but the last few days are fuzzy. The doctors said I had some kind of stress reaction during a training exercise. I'm just grateful they were able to help me recover. Security clearance. Permanently revoked due to psychological unsuitability. Future monitoring. Monthly psychiatric evaluations recommended for first year post-discharge. Special notation. Subject's spouse reported brief period of erratic behavior, including claims of important information about Seattle prior to treatment. Post-treatment interviews show no recollection of such claims. Treatment successful. Subject poses no security risk. Fragment, civilian incident report. Seattle Power and Light Company. Date, redacted. Incident type, unexplained power disruption. Summary, coordinated power grid failures affected 847,000 customers across King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties from 0404 to 0412 hours. Duration, 7 minutes, 43 seconds. Cause analysis, electromagnetic interference of unknown origin. Signature patterns inconsistent with solar storm activity, equipment failure, or cyber attack. Unusual factors. All backup systems failed simultaneously. No physical damage to transmission infrastructure. Interference patterns suggest external electromagnetic source at high altitude. Similar disruption reported at Seattle-Tacoma Airport radar systems during same time frame. Follow-up action. Report forwarded to Federal Aviation Administration, Department of Homeland Security, and redacted for investigation. Status. Investigation suspended by federal authorities. Incident reclassified as routine infrastructure maintenance. Note, original technical analysis files requested by federal investigators. All copies transferred to federal custody per national security requirements. Personal journal entry. Found in civilian apartment, undated. Something happened to my husband. He came home 3 days ago completely different. Doesn't remember calling me from work that night, frantic about some kind of emergency. Doesn't remember the things he said about Seattle, about missiles, about cover-ups. The Air Force says he had a psychological episode. Stress-induced delusions during a training exercise. They medically discharged him with full benefits and therapy. But I keep finding things. Training manuals he'd highlighted. Notes in his handwriting about backup logs and quantum encrypted redundancy protocols. Technical terms he never used before that night. And I called Boeing Field the next morning. Asked about their radar systems. The duty officer said they'd experienced routine maintenance downtime from 0404 to 0412 hours. Exactly the time frame my husband mentioned. I called Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Same story. Coordinated maintenance affecting all radar systems in the region. During the same 8-minute window. The doctors say I should be grateful he recovered so completely. But I remember the man who called me that night. He knew things. Technical details, specific procedures, exact timings. The man sleeping next to me now has no specialized knowledge of radar systems. He can't even program the microwave clock. He doesn't remember warning me to stay away from windows. He doesn't remember telling me to watch the sky. He doesn't remember saying they weren't missiles. I keep those training manuals hidden. I don't know why. Maybe because they're the only proof that the man who called me that night, terrified and desperate to warn everyone, was real. The man sleeping next to me now, he's peaceful. Happy even. The therapy worked perfectly. Too perfectly. Entry ends.